What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review of a sci-fi horror movie called Margaux that came out about a week or so ago. And, let's talk about it. So I heard really nothing about this movie whatsoever. I didn't know anything about it. I just happened to catch some sort of like trailer by chance, and then I watched it and I was like, wait, when's this coming out? And then I was like, oh, it's already out. Okay, well, I guess I'll try it out. So when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of ridiculous. It's a big budgety sort of feeling teen movie or college kids movie, very reminiscent of something like Cabin in the Woods. It's essentially about this group of college kids who were going away on a weekend to party together to rekindle some original group that they had. They're graduating from college, and the first time they met, they were in this group called the Nerd Herd, which they all became friends on and then grew up and kind of grew apart and did their own things, and they want to rekindle some of that fun. And so one of them gets a smart house, a killer smart house, by the way, that the house's AI, Margaux, starts to become sentient and picking them off one by one. Yes, it's a killer smart house, and we've kind of seen stuff like this before, like Killer Party and other things that are like this. Obviously, this is a movie that you shouldn't take too seriously, and I think a lot of the people that did see it were expecting something very serious. I don't know why. This is a movie by Stephen C. Miller, who kind of got his start doing some pretty schlocky stuff, like Automaton Transfusion, which was like a sort of zombie film. He also did the Silent Night reboot of Silent Night, Deadly Night, and another one that was actually pretty decent called Under the Bed. He's gone on to do a little bit more bigger budget, sort of action-packed, sort of sci-fi kind of element stuff, and this is probably what brought him to this movie. We have three writers on this movie, and that is Chris Beyruti, Chris Svetterson, and Nick Waters, which all come together to make this sort of modern take on a killer house. I would say more modern than we are right now. Like, scientifically, this does not make any kind of logical sense that a house would be this far advanced into the future. That is, like, we're talking 100 years at least into the future. People would just have too much technophobia to be able to live in a house like this. But this movie uses a lot of different things, including a lot of CGI and practical effects for the gore and everything, by the way, including some of the guests, which, by the way, holy fuck, is this movie pretty fucking graphic for the most part. I mean, this is the guy that did Silent Night, and that was a pretty graphic movie, even for the lower budget that it had. But this is on a bigger scale with a crazier tale that is involving this AI named Margaux, and it's like so ridiculous. Like, you know, you obviously have your story of your regular college stuff. There are some lines in the movie that made me bust out laughing, like, pretty hard. Not because it was just like super witty dialogue or anything like that, but this dialogue is well aware of itself, and it is not sitting there trying to pretend that it is going to be some sort of elevated horror of any sort, kind of playing on the tropes that we expect to see. The sort of cabin in the woods trope, you know, where the kids go to a cabin to like celebrate and have fun, and they end up getting killed, you know, one of those kind of things. Only this is, you know, obviously the AI house that kills everybody. So you have your sort of archetypes that they did like in Cabin in the Woods in a lot of ways. Even the pothead guy that's in this movie, who's like a dead ringer for it. And I think that's kind of like done intentionally. It's like a, I don't know, familiarity type thing. And while it's not super original in that regard, it's still kind of taking the piss out of these types of movies in a way. I wouldn't say that this is like that self-aware, but it's pretty self-aware. And I don't think the people who actually made this movie were really trying to, you know, be serious about this kind of fucking film. I mean, there is some stuff in the movie that's just not scientifically possible. There is just some dialogue that is just way too on the nose. Like, even one of the characters says archetypes of like their friendships and stuff like that. And I was like, there's no way that they're thinking the same thing I'm thinking. They're doing this shit intentionally. The acting's actually not too bad either. It's actually pretty good for the most part for what it is. It's not, we're not talking about award-winning stuff here, but it's definitely above average. And you're going to see some familiar faces in there. I'm not going to go through the whole cast, but you'll notice a few people that you've seen before, and they kind of fit in the roles that they're meant to fit. A little bit smaller cast, but the kill count is still decent, and they're pretty glorious enough that you'll enjoy it. Like the first 5 minutes of the movie, like I was like, holy shit, this is fucking graphic. And I mean, I'm not going to say what it is, obviously, but it is pretty explosive and it is pretty gory. And I was like intrigued. It definitely got me interested in the movie. Now, you're going to get a few more of those nuggets throughout the film. There are a lot of different things that happen. Again, you're going to have to disconnect reality in order to kind of follow along with the story. If you're looking for some sort of serious, like, by the book sort of horror movie that is like, realistic all the way through, then this is not going to be the movie for you. It is not necessarily spoofy or just a joke movie necessarily. It's riding a thin line between self-awareness, but also adding a serious kind of homage-y kind of thing going on here with those archetypes I was talking about. So you're going to get a good kind of mix of that. It's going to feel updated. There's some music in it that's kind of like, nowadays. So it feels kind of like nice to see a movie that's like a bigger budget feeling movie that is like, my mainstream feeling, but like kind of goes all out with some of this ridiculousness. I've been noticing that a lot of movies these days have this sort of big budget feel to them, but then they go for this sort of so bad it's good kind of thing. And I'm kind of digging it, like I can appreciate it where like 80s movies sort of did the same thing. They were trying to be serious. They were trying to make a real movie, but they were kind of self-aware by the end of the 80s. They kind of knew what the tropes were and things like that, and they kind of played with them to kind of get some different stuff out of it. And I think that's kind of what we're experiencing with some of these movies. Now, that said, these types of movies tend to draw a lot of different opinions, especially probably from the younger crowd that this movie might appeal to a little bit, because it's kind of written from the perspective of the younger crowd, but it kind of is hearkening back to the 80s in some regard with sort of that nostalgia that you would get. I don't know how to explain that, but it's just kind of, it's got a dichotomy that's going to divide a lot of people. I mean, I already saw some of the reviews and they're just like, 1, 2, probably worst movie I've ever seen. Like, I guess they were looking for something that was like Citizen Kane. I'm not really sure, but when I saw Killer AI Smart House, I kind of figured that it wasn't going to be a, top tier movie. Sorry, guys. Like, what are you people expecting? Anyway, I still had fun, enjoyed this movie quite a bit. There is a lot of shitty dialogue and a lot of, like, cool deaths, I guess you could say, in the movie. You definitely are going to have a strong suspension of disbelief because this movie is just kind of wild and ridiculous and so far out there that you're not going to even... There's no way that you could take this seriously, but also in the same regard, it still tries to keep the reins in to make it seem plausible and feel like a realistic type, big budget, so bad it's good film in a way. I would give this movie a 7 out of 10, maybe even more, maybe less. I don't know. I'd have to see it again. It's still a fun movie, and I would love to pick this up and put it in my collection. I have a few of his movies already. It's like, I think I have Under the Bed, Automaton Transfusion, Silent Night, and then this. I might be missing Silent Night, but I would love to have this, and I would watch it again occasionally because I think it's kind of fun. It's just kind of like, can we just take the steering wheel off once in a while and just kind of, demolition man our way through the fucking city and just kind of get a ride once in a while? Like, that's what I feel like, Don't take it too seriously. Have a good time. Enjoy some of the crazy bloody deaths and, just watch a movie. But yeah, that's just my thoughts. That's just my opinion. If you would like to check this movie out, you can watch it. It's up now for $5.99 to rent. I'm sure it will probably come to the streaming services. I honestly don't think it's a bad watch. So if you are looking for something that's a little bit more on the sci-fi end of horror, this might be something perfect for you because I was kind of in the mood for sci-fi and I found this. So I would love to hear what you guys think about it. Like, have you seen the trailer? What do you think of this movie? Is it something that you would take too seriously? Is it something that nobody should take seriously and just enjoy? What do you think? Let me know in the comment section down below. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button and the little bell notification so you know when I got new videos coming up. We got more, guys, and it's almost Voidtober for the podcast. We have a real podcast, by the way, that you can listen to in the the information down below. Just check it out. But thanks for coming by, and as always, long live the void.